Jean, Miguel is joining, or you are going to be the only one for Security 101?
He's in the room with me, so he's
He is
here.
with you?
Yeah, he's with me. Yep.
Okay, so we are just missing the VR plus 8 people, but I'm not sure they're going to join, but Dan can give them any update. Um, so we can start. So this is what I want I'm going to say what I understood, Chan. Miguel is here.
Okay.
What I understood from the last meeting, and then I'm gonna let Security 101 ask all the questions. You just tell me if I am wrong. I understood that the door is being supplied by Kingsway with the electrified locks, with all the features of the door, and also with this top door alarm, that it comes in a single package, and Security 101, what they need to do is to install the access control with the electrified lock. They have some concerns how it's going to work if the door is double swing. And the other thing they need to do, I understood, was the wiring for the door alarm. So that was my understanding. I leave it on you, Shan, and I wanted Security 101 people to ask the questions. Yeah.
Okay, so let me clarify a couple of things that have come to light at our friends at Kingsway.
Mm-hmm.
When they originally sent us the door control beam system, he forwarded that to me and I don't know if you read my email from last week, that this has to be, that particular product is, for lack of better words, has to be installed and provided by a third-party certified vendor of door control services, okay? So I immediately called Door Control Services. They put us in touch with their certified vendor who provides and installs and commissions the system, okay? And we are in the process now of getting that priced up in accordance with the drawings that we currently have without the RFI that we sent, because we don't have that back yet from the architect.
Dan,
right,
you are
so
going to respond the RFI, because that RFI has already like 2 weeks.
I have a question. Who's speaking, please?
This is Sean Foley with Atlantic Doors and Hardware.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Good, buddy.
Okay, so what was the question again?
You received an RFI like 2 weeks ago, and you haven't responded.
RFI. And what was the RFI about?
It came from, I don't have it in front of me.
I'll tell you. Oh my God.
Yeah, it came from Garrett's. They
Hey,
said
this is Ross. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Okay, because I can't see my screen blank. I can't see the people who's on the call. But anyway, we sent in Patrick Garrett's sent it, I believe. Dan, if it didn't come from Patrick, it came from me.
Okay, do you know what number it is?
I am opening my RFI log.
I can take a look and tell you.
RFI number 2. So you have 2 RFI pending response from Garrett's. And they were sent on, let me tell you the date.
July 20th.
Yeah. We need to get a more fast response for the RFI then.
I was out last week, Lourdes. Sorry about that.
Both RFI were sent on July 20.
Yeah, so I'll get to it this week.
Okay, so let's get back to
I'm going to drop off and log back in. Sorry, because I can't see my screen. I'll be back.
Now, the question of the RFI is only about the main door, Sean. And what Security 101 is asking is about the patient room door.
Right.
Okay.
See, we have an RFI in that has 4 or 5 items on it, Lourdes. I don't have it in front of me off the top of my head.
Okay.
But what we're talking about okay, was I responded to, hey, Gene, did you get my email last week about the raceways and things of that nature?
I
Did
did.
you see
Yes,
it?
I did. Yep.
Okay. So what happens with Kingsway? This is the first. They're relatively new to the marketplace, and I'm sure that Roger can expound a little bit more on these guys. But they come from the UK, and they provide the electrified anti-ligature lock, the wiring harness from the lock to the through-wire hinge, okay, in the door, okay, and then you guys have to take it from the jam to wherever you guys need to take it. And it has a 6-pin Molex connector on both sides. That's what I've been told. That's what it is. And I'm not exactly sure, and this is where I have to get a hold of AES to find out, because they're installing and wiring the beam system and installing the panels and commissioning the system. But I don't know how that works in relationship to the Molex connectors that are on the jam side of the door. The door will be prepped. I found out from Kingsway, and Liz, who also is that Roger and Liz work together. It's my understanding that connector can accommodate everything that we're trying to do.
Okay, Sean, let me ask you a question. I saw an email from Kingsway saying that they can use in their door this top door alarm. So that is not exactly true. They don't know what they can use or they cannot use. We don't know.
No. You're misunderstanding, Lourdes. That system, that beam system, is the system that you have to use with their door. Okay, that's a done deal. The difference is us, meaning Atlantic Doors and Hardware, has never dealt with these guys. And there's only one guy in that company, oddly enough, and I know you find this hard to believe, his name is Aaron, and he's the only guy that handles the door product. So when we found out...
I believe you, trust me, I believe
you. So when we found out the pressure plate system for the top edge of the door was not compatible with their product, he sent me the door control services beam system cut sheet and said, this is what we provide. And that was understood. He never said, by the way, you have to get it from a third party, which is all fine and dandy, okay? I don't care where it comes from. So as Liz and I were talking with Roger, okay, it turns out that this third party vendor is a certified vendor that does the installation, the wiring, and the installation of the panels and all the stuff, okay. That goes along with this system. It's turnkey, okay. So that is a done deal, okay. As far as us being able to provide the over-the-door alarm system, that's fine. Okay,
so Security 101, they only have to do the access control. They don't have to do anything associated with the alarm.
That is correct. Correct, Roger?
Yeah, I believe so.
Roger?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
All right, the way these guys, Ernesto and Liz said that this is a turnkey. They install, they wire, they do everything and commission the system. They're the only ones that are provided. They have to do it for the ACA, all the other things that are associated with it, okay?
Okay, perfect.
So that, I mean, as far as I know, okay, at this point, talking to Liz, that this Ernesto is the man. He's the guy that fires up the system, and it is compatible with the Kingsway product. So we're good. Okay. Now, my understanding is that all we have to do is anything that Security 101 is doing vis-a-vis, I'm going to call it an HID rater. It's a generic term I use. Whatever that is, that's the only thing they need to wire to their lock, to the lock that's in the door.
Okay, so Kingsway is going to provide with the door an electrified lock and Security 101 should be able to install and access a card reader connected to that electrified lock. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is exactly what we've told them. This is how, yeah.
And they are just installing the access control, the card reader. They don't, do they have to wire the door or something like that?
They have, the door, what happens, Lourdes, is from the lock, okay, through the door to the raceway to the through wire hinge, that connection is made. Okay, and that is already made. The connection is made in the door to the lock to the hinge.
Okay.
On the other side of the hinge, there is a pigtail that comes out that has a 6-pin Molex connector. That's where, and again, going back to final connections, that's what Security 101 needs to do, is provide the final connection to the back of that hinge to wherever it's going to the card reader.
So is it safe to say, I'm kind of confused here on a VR+A standpoint, do we need to power 120 volt to those doors? Because the initial diagram that we saw, the wiring diagram did have power. But now I'm hearing that the only connection outside of what they do
Well,
is
I'll put it to you this way. Well, let me put it to you this way. I'm responding to what Lourdes is asking, okay, which means, are they wiring your access control to the opening? And that short answer to that is yes, you are. As far as power supplies go and all that other stuff, okay, that's what we're here to talk about so that we're all on the same sheet of music.
Okay. Jean and Miguel, does that answer your question about who is doing about the wiring and the access control?
Yeah, it does. But it did leave me a couple questions, right? So I'm going to wire to the hinge side, and you say it's a 6-pin connector. Do we have the 6-pin connector to, usually just has bare copper on the other end that I can splice into? Do we know what that looks like?
You can, as you're probably well aware of, you can cut those connectors off and twist your wire. I mean, it's done all the time.
I just don't want a warranty issue that, hey, you guys cut my wire, right?
No, I mean, right. It's like all these various and sundry hinge manufacturers that make true wire hinges, right? And you've got, like everybody else, like Assa Abloy has their, QC harnesses and all that stuff with different pin connectors. Some are 4, some are 6. You got to, God only knows. So in the event that you run into it, obviously you just cut the connector off and off you go. It's the end of it.
Yep. I got you.
Right.
Yeah, we've done it before. I just want to make sure we're on the same
page.
Sure,
I know. Yeah, yeah, you guys have done tons of them.
Then, yeah, so, and then the other part would be is the lock sets and the mag locks that I saw on the door hardware submittal. I know there's an RFI out there. So I would say...
Jean, let's finish with the patient room door before moving to the mag lock, because the mag locks are in the corridor doors.
I got it. So
and the corridor and the patient room door are the ones that Kingsway. So I would like to, and the ones that have the alarm. The mag locks are in a different door, so it's an easier thing. But I would like to finish first with the patient room door. So you understand, you are doing the card reader, you are programming the card reader.
Yep.
And Chan, they are not doing anything. I want Royer to confirm absolutely nothing with the door alarm. A top door alarm will come and take care of everything. Wiring, programming, everything. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's the way
yeah, that's correct. I do have a question about the through wire on the hinge tip. It sounded like access control might be tying into that as well. If that's the case, how many of the 6 wires are they going to need?
That goes back to the voltage of the lock set itself, right? We prefer it to be 12 volts, so at minimum of 2, but sometimes you need to double up, right? Because of depending on the long runs or anything. But if you're low amperage on those things and we can get 12 volts to them instead of 24, we should be fine with one pair with 2 conductors.
All right, top door alarm will require 4 conductors. No ifs, ands, or buts, or it will not work.
Okay, then
Well,
should
we
be
have,
good.
yeah, according to what we were told in the diagram that they sent us, that the hinge has a 6-pin connector on both sides. And Liz confirmed that the other day. She called and spoke to Aaron as well. So if you need 1 pair and you need 4, that's 6, so we should be okay. But I'll verify all that. Yes?
Okay,
Yes, correct.
before we go to the mag locks and the double doors in the corridors and the main door of the unit, Sharon, I wanted to ask you a question. This Kingsway door, what the only it does is that it has some sort of a special, it double swing, so it's anti-barricade because it double swing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So now you're saying that this Kingsway apparently is difficult to coordinate with them, and so if you, what I was going to tell you is, if you feel that there is some alternative, you feel free to propose, and the architect will analyze. If this Kingsway is going to become too complicated, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Lourdes, I've never used this type of product in the past, and we've done several other, behavioral health units elsewhere for Garrett's, and like I said, this is the first time I've run into these guys, and it's not so much that they're difficult, okay, it's just that they only have one individual that handles their door product that they bring in from the UK. So it's like trying to,
That's difficult. That's difficult.
Yeah, well, it's difficult in the sense that we're not the only squeaky wheel, so to speak. So, in that instance, he's always been timely in getting us the information. It's just like when you can't get him on the phone sometimes, so it takes a little bit of time. And of course, this thing with AES. As I told you originally, my assumption was that if you're providing this as a package and you send me something that says it's an over-the-door beam system, I just took it for granted that was going to come as part of the assembly. It does
and
not.
It wasn't.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. So that was, what they say about assuming, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I read their email, and I have the same understanding that apparently they say we can provide this one.
Right, that's what I thought, and I either I misinterpreted what he said or whatever. But that's at this point, the good news is that the over-the-doors beam system that we now know we need, we can provide, blah blah blah. So that's water over the dam. As far as anything else in regards to this type of product. I would have to defer to Roger and Liz to see if there's anything else out there that they may be able to marry up for you that may be an alternative. I don't know. They do.
Well, in case there is something that you think can help us make it easy, because this Kingsway thing seems to be complicated. You just send it, and the architect will analyze that. And if it's acceptable.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll talk to Liz about that and Roger after the call, and then we can take it from there. But as far as the connectors, we already know that we've got to have four of those pins reserved for the beam system and 2 conductors for the card reader. So I'll verify that. And as far as I know. That should be all we need. I'm pretty sure, right, Roger?
It should be.
You're on mute, Roger.
It should be.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So let's talk about the